Back live now. Thank you very much for being with us. We have some guests along who are going to answer your questions. Any questions, I just want to let you know, any questions that aren't answered during these sessions, either the first Q&A or this one, we will be giving those answers for you to look at on Facebook, or if you joined us with Eventbrite, we'll be posting your answers in your inbox. All right, so I hope that makes sense to most people. All this tech is a new language for many people who are joining us today, so let's work our way through that. A couple of other things. I do wholeheartedly want to apologize for those who suffered some technical glitches. That wasn't from this end, okay? It just kind of dropped in on us, and it was at that point that I wish we could check out who can and can't hack the Tokel site, because you just never know how it's going to be used politically, because we are a government agency. Where else? I do have a couple of other things to say that, and I didn't write this down, but while I'm thinking about it, I want to say thank goodness for the tech team who've brought this together today. And that's for people international as well, how you've done your talks and gotten them to us. But this team, Natasha Hess and Alicia Holmes and Bianca Jiggins in the background, that thank you, thank you, thank you. You made what wasn't going to be, you made it happen. So thank you for that. And I hope everyone out there, we've been getting great comments, and I don't make things like that up unless it's about me. We've been getting great comments about this field day, this virtual field day. So thank you so much. Again, we're going to offer you the opportunity to fill in a survey, and that survey is for you to honestly respond to us what you thought from where you've been watching. Yeah, anything that might help us to know that you were helped and informed, and especially on there, I believe there's a, what would you like to see next time at a Tokel field day, and whether that's on site or virtual is of no consequence, because we've been talking already today, yes, and yea, verily, that we will be doing the, if it's on site, it will be broadcast as well online. So there you go. Well done, tech team. Okay, now I'm still here. Yes, you can't get rid of me that easily. I would like to take this moment to introduce to you, in no particular order, I will introduce Rod Burke, who's a Honeybee Biosecurity Officer, and you would no doubt have watched his very helpful information about barrier system management. And we do have some questions for you, Rod. Get ready. All right, we have our friend Fiona Chambers from Ween Bee Foundation. Thank you for that presentation, Fiona. If anybody missed that, they missed out. That's what I think. We already know Kelly. Hello again, Kelly Lees, Honeybee Education Officer, Tokel. And it's our privilege as well to have Claire Densley and Martin Hammond from Buckfast Abbey, Devon, England. I almost said Queensland. I wouldn't do that to you until you're Australians. Okay, so, and they've just done the 2 sessions on the pheromone communication. We've had some really serious questions on that, so take your time to answer them when they come. And I want everybody to know it's 4:35 or 40 a.m. where Claire and Martin are, okay? So I hope I can ask the questions in a really, exciting way. Hey, here's a question for you. Wake up. All right. So here we go. All right. We do have a question. Let's go to Claire and Martin. All right. You mentioned queens losing the ability to feed themselves. Do you know how long they can go without food, and how often a queen needs to be fed?
Ooh.
See what I mean? Wake up.
Yeah. Well, observationally, we hatch out
queen cells into virgin queens, and we always give them some pollen substitute in those first couple of days. And if you miss that food going into the cage, they won't last very long at all. So certainly in those initial few hours after emergence, getting some pollen substitute into them is absolutely vital. I mean, they'll be dead by the morning if you haven't provided food in the cage. So at that early stage, they're very vulnerable.
I think they wouldn't last that long. I've been reading about queen introduction, and one of the old-fashioned methods that the old boys used with queen introduction was they used to starve the queen for about half an hour before introducing her into the colony. So instead of being aggressive, she would just solicit food. So I would think she would need food within the hour, really, if you know, she was deprived. And I've read also that queens will feed themselves if they're under, you know, if no one is feeding them, they will feed themselves. I don't know if that's true.
Okay, well, that's something
If
to
I
look
can
into.
just jump in
Please.
too, I've noticed if you cage up a cell that hatches, and if that virgin isn't looked after very well by the bees outside, she will go back inside and eat what's left inside.
Yeah, she'll lick all the dried up royal jelly. Yeah.
And often, if they don't get looked after, you find them dead, head up to that cell.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, well, while we're on that, I'm going to ask pretty much a follow-up question to that. When do queens lose the ability to feed themselves? But I think we kind of touched on it just then. Is this after mating? How long after mating?
When they first hatch out, they probably feed themselves for about 3 days, and then they start soliciting for food. So it's when their queenly pheromones start kicking in and they change physiologically. So they'll start soliciting for food after about 3 days. But then after mating, I think it's almost exclusively they're fed by the worker bees.
All right. And the person that asked that question also said, great talk, really enjoyed. Thank you both. Okay.
I mean, I think, Kevin, there's probably must be a degree of pheromone activity in that, because queen mandibular pheromone, I think we made the point in the talk, queen mandibular pheromone isn't dependent upon mated status. So that level of pheromone will continue to increase whether she gets mated or not. But the other cocktail of her pheromones are dependent on her getting mated. And so it would appear that the changeover, the balance of that cocktail is what alters her reliance on the colony to feed her, rather than being able to feed herself.
But also her actions, she solicits her food, isn't she? She sticks her tongues out and she asks for food.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm just going to have a look here. Let's give something to Rod, hey? He's just sitting there and wants to talk. Tell me, Rod, the question is, do barrier systems work for small hive numbers?
Definitely. Well, one hive is a barrier system. So if you've got 2 hives, you can run 2 separate systems. Very effective. There are a lot of beekeepers that only run small numbers of hives. If you've got a stronger hive amongst that group, it may be the one that robs out something and brings back AFB. So by keeping each hive separate, you're only going to lose the one hive. So it's effective from any time that you have more than one beehive, basically, and it's not reserved for beekeepers with small numbers of bees. I know beekeepers running well over 2,000 colonies that have each one as a single hive barrier. So it's anytime you could use a barrier system.
Okay, thank you. And a follow-up on that is, for the smaller beekeeper, I don't quite know what that means. I imagine numbers-wise. For the smaller beekeeper, say 10 hives and less, I'm going to get in trouble. For the smaller beekeepers, 10 hives, say, to implement single hive barrier, would you at the very least have to have an individual hive tool and gloves for each hive? And I suppose that means an individual brush if you use a brush,
I'd look at all of those things as low risk. The big risk things are moving brood and frames and bees and boxes and stuff between hives, and that's where the biggest risk of spreading AFB occurs. So your gloves and so forth are low risk. The bellows of your smoker, you get honey and stuff on them, but it's low risk. So there's a point where you need to stop. But if you were working your bees and you discovered a hive with AFB, you would at that point then definitely want to change out of the hand equipment, the hive tool, the things that you're using as a way to stop any potential spread if you then work on other hives. But to have one set of gear for each hive, that's probably going to an extreme that most people wouldn't do. If you want to do it, that's fine, but I don't think it's necessary or going to make a lot of difference.
Thank you.
We just clean our hive tools between colonies as a matter of course.
Mm-hmm.
Just give them a scrub.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And all I can think with that, sorry to cut you off, but all I can think with that is, how many hive tools would I lose then? Well, all I can think about, I can't afford that many hive tools.
Well, one of the things, sorry, Kevin, I'm just going to say, one of the things we did in the inspectorate over here was, because Rod talked about the bellows on the smoker, and we used those shower caps, the sort of thing you get in hotel rooms, and we put the shower cap over the bellows, and then we still solder that, washing solder that in between hives, but also then obviously if you incur disease, AFB or EFB, then the shower cap comes off, gets destroyed, put a new cap on.
That's a very helpful tip, especially for anyone who's listening to us from isolation in a hotel. Just keep collecting those shower caps, all right? Because it'll help you in your beekeeping and biosecurity practices. Fiona, I have a question here for you that is, will there be a pollination chart made for WA? Before you answer, can we put a rider on that WA should open their borders to other people before we do things like that? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because you've raised that, then what I'll say is that when they open the border, then we will be releasing the next Powerful Pollinators resource for over there. No, look, we do have plans to roll out these planting guides nationally, and those plans are going really well. We're really on track. So we've got enough funding to have about 20 guides finished by the end of next year, and I'm pretty confident we'll do a lot more than that. So our target areas, our priority areas are the most bushfire affected areas, will be the first areas that we'll focus on for planting guides, because they're the ones that a lot more effort's going to go into to try and get areas replanted. So we want to make sure that the information that we're providing in those guides is available for people to integrate as they think about what trees to put in.
Excellent. So get ready, WA, open your borders, and we'll do whatever we can, except send any bees and pests and diseases, all right? We're considerate people. Whereas I've got another one somewhere here. Sorry about that. I just keep thinking about all the great news we've had today. Let's go back to Claire and Martin, okay? How much drone brood would be normal? Don't you love that? How much drone brood would be normal, and how much drone brood is likely to be produced due to the queen pheromone being weaker?
Generally, according to Tom Seeley, generally in a colony you get something like between 13 and 23% drone brood is normal in a colony, and that obviously changes. So a strong queen, a strong colony will have more drone brood. A weaker colony will have less drone brood.
Is that not numbers? Is that, sorry, but is that a numbers thing, or is that a resource
It's basically regulated by numbers and resources, and it's regulated by the drone brood itself. The drone brood itself produces pheromones, which regulates itself.
Mhm.
So if a colony was under stress and there was a dearth, they would sacrifice some of that drone brood. But also, if you took drone brood away from a strong colony, they would remake it to bring themselves back up to the level they thought they could support.
There also seems to be an element of opportunity in there for the colony, because if they're drawing wild comb on an open frame, or if you put a super frame into a brood box and let them draw underneath that, it's invariably drawn to drones. So there are things you can do to influence that amount as well. And we do have also people putting sheets of drone foundation in.
Yeah, but they only make it if they can support it. I've done that, and they sometimes put worker brood. So they are very good at regulating. It's a very finely tuned system.
Okay.
Like early in the season with your drone mother colonies, you basically have to force that drone comb right in the middle of the brood nest and stimulate them. Otherwise, they won't even start laying drones. They just won't do it.
Yeah, they need the resources, don't they? They need to feel wealthy enough.
I can't help it, but I was watching, because Claire and Martin, you're in the same room, aren't you? When you look at each other to talk, I feel like I'm watching an episode of the Brady Bunch. Okay. Just couldn't let that one go, could I, Rod? What do you think, Kelly? So, all right. And I've got a question here then. How likely will it be, and I'm happy to hear from everyone on this, okay? How likely will it be that I have my job after this? No, how likely will how likely will it be for worker bees to reject a queen you offer them?
Ooh. We've had some spectacular failures this year in that department.
We've learned a lot.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we did a lot of research into methods of queen introduction, and one of the things that I think struck us is it's not necessarily always the method, it's the state of the colony you're trying to put it into, and making sure you get the right balance of bees in there. One of the things we flagged up in the talk was, the older bees aren't so happy, or don't like the queen so much as the younger bees. And if you've got a box of old bees there, it doesn't matter what method you use, they're not going to take her. Do you want to say anything about our failures?
I'm interested in what Ron has to say.
Rod, have you got something?
Yeah, well, so I've had colonies that they were aggressive colonies, and we've pulled the old queen out, left it for about 4 hours, 5 hours to try and become queenless, because, they're the bees that are clumping all over your gloves. They're really bad. And you'll put a queen in. Some of those colonies immediately accept those queens. Other ones you can see they just are trying to kill her. And we've put actually like tape over that queen cage and left that cage there for 3 days and then undone it. And these are proven queens that are already, they've been breeding or laying eggs for quite a while, so they've got good pheromones. And that colony will still proceed after 3 or 4 days of having that queen in their midst. They'll just kill her straight away. So I think it's very hard sometimes to be consistent in that.
There's never a guaranteed thing, is it? But I read it takes 2 to pick an argument, so it has to be the state of the queen as well as the state of the colony.
Well, there's 6 of us here. So I know, Claire, when I was there, I just couldn't get my head around the way that you were able to introduce virgin queens. Can you kind of give us a little
just
bit of
running
insight?
in a virgin.
Yes.
Has to be a pulled virgin, so she has to be fresh out her cell, so she hasn't really got any colony odor. So she hasn't got any particularly queen pheromones. She hasn't got any colony odor particularly. And if you can run her into a colony of colonies, in neat, well, not necessarily neat. She's pretty well invisible, to the other bees. Chemically, she's invisible, and you can run her in, and depending on if she gets mated, you can do it that way. Doesn't always work.
No, but so
Yeah.
would the timing on that be relative to how long they've not had a queen, and if perhaps they've made their own cell? Am I asking my own questions for my own interest? Yes, I am.
If they've made their own cells, it's actually better because they're expecting it. The trick is always give them what they're expecting. So if they've got their own cells, they're expecting a virgin. So she can just go in there and she'll get their odor pretty quickly.
Yeah, I did it recently, actually. I ran one in. So I had 2 hives side by side, and one of them was queenless. The other one had cells, and I looked at them and knew they were going to hatch and knocked one off, and she hatched in my hand, and I did that exact thing. I just put my hand down in front of the queenless colony next to it. She ran onto the landing board. They sniffed her and let her in, and I've been back and she's made it and they've accepted her. So
yeah,
sometimes it works.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the trick is always give the bees what they're expecting, and if they're expecting a mated queen, they're not going to. A virgin may work, but certainly if they've got queen cells already and they're expecting a virgin, she's got more chance.
Okay, Rod, here's one for you. I already have 1,200 hives. Where and how do I start a barrier system?
Okay, well, the first thing you've got to do is go out and identify those 1,200 hives. So you need to work out how you're going to do it. Are you going to have different colours, different letters, different numbers for each load? And then you need to individually mark every hive and all the boxes that are on it. If you have a disease issue already, and that is one of the reasons that you're going to the barrier system, you should be going to a lot of expense and irradiating all of the boxes you don't have on your equipment, meaning that you're going to stop any more influx of further disease with those honey boxes. So it's quite a big initial outlay in doing that. But once you're then only putting like sterilised equipment or new equipment onto your bees, any hives that come up with AFB, they were already had the AFB issue in the background, and you can simply then knock them off in your precision bombing events where you keep taking out the diseased hives. Whenever you put stuff on your bees that you don't know its disease status or where it's come from, there's a risk. So some people would go out, they would load all their hives up to triples or 4 high and then mark everything and then just pick it out as it comes. Other people irradiate everything to try and minimise any potential disease spread. But the place to start is at the beginning.
It's a very good place to start.
It is.
Fiona, please tell us, we need to know, what is a Ween Bee ambassador and how does one become one?
So what is a Ween Bee Foundation ambassador? An ambassador is a person, a bee champion, and by a bee champion, I mean someone who is already out there in the community, volunteering, a passionate advocate for some kind of bee cause. We don't care what that is. It could be on bee health. It could be on education of beekeepers, education of school children about bees, someone who's really passionate about something to do with bees. And then we, once a year, we run a training program over about 3 days. So it's a weekend, sort of 3-day event. We bring people together, very long days, and it's really about sharing and networking great ideas. And then when those people, after those 3 days, go back to their communities, it's really, they become part of a network, a sharing network with all these other people doing different things. And the amount of learning that can go on just with the cross-pollination of ideas, the way people do things differently across states, across areas of interest, is really a great way to fast-track innovation. It's also a great support network for each of those people who might be coming across problems in their communities, working with their groups. So it's a great way to share ideas and show support. So we've found that to be a very effective way. We've got about 30 ambassadors that have been through the program. There's no great commitment about how much or how little involvement they do. It's really just being part of something beyond their existing networks.
Thank you. I'm going to stick with your moments here, if I may, Fiona. How can I join? This is not from me, but I mean, it could be. You just never know. A friend of mine wants to know, how do I join the Guinness Waggle Dance record?
Okay, so it's the online Waggle Dance Challenge, and through Australian Pollinator Week, we will have another round of entries. So it's free to participate. If you go to the Australian Pollinator Week website, and from this week we will have the ways that you can apply. So you can have a look online at the instructional video, learn the dance, then video yourself doing the dance and upload that video, and with the next round we will then form another compilation video like the one that you just viewed there.
I didn't see Claire and Martin taking notes for where to pick that up. So could you just repeat that once again, how to get involved in that waggle dance? So
that you can go to the Australian Pollinator Week website, which is www.australianpollinatorweek.org.au. We've also got a link via the Ween Bee Foundation website, which is www.weenbeefoundation.org.au. So both those websites have links to how to get involved with the online Waggle Dance Challenge. And, you know, this is something we would love to see. I'll have to charge the UK representatives here with getting it going in the UK.
There you go.
The challenge, the gauntlet is down. The challenge is on.
Oh, now it takes two to fight, doesn't it? So here we go.
I didn't know whether we had to wear a fancy dress or not.
Look, what you do at home is up to you, all right?
Well, there was a lot of different things that people were wearing in the videos they submit, and you know, I think that's up to your creative flair.
There, well said. Thank you. And another, bring out the porridge. Another one, just another one, Fiona. Well, we can, thanks, because we've only got a few minutes left, so I'm giving you notice of that. How do I help Ween Bee Foundation? How to become part of it? What can I do?
Well, first of all, you know, subscribe to our Facebook, you know, social media and our e-newsletter. So that way you're up to date with the latest things that we're doing. And look, obviously fundraising, we're always greatly appreciative of where people fundraise for us. And people can choose where they want those funds to go if they've got a particular bent for a particular project. So people can select when they go online and make donations. It might be through corporate sponsorship. You might know organisations that want to partner with us as a corporate sponsor. And even, you know, a bequest, thinking about when you're writing your wills, if you're really a passionate bee person and you want to think of ways that you can leave a legacy beyond your life, then, you know, writing the Ween Bee Foundation into your will is something that Gretchen Ween did, and it's out of her legacy we're able to do the work that we do now for you.
Thank you. So get your wills written. You should have one anyway. Excuse me a moment. I have something to do. Okay. I'm just trying to think what else we have here. Oh, yes, here's one. I don't know from where this has come or how we answer this, so I'm going to let you answer it. Kelly. All right. Why are the Hive boxes smooth-sided, and why don't the boxes have locking lips for more secure fit?
That is a very interesting question. The design of the Langstroth hive has been around for a long time, and I think it literally just comes down to that's how the timber is milled, so they don't interlock. If you think about the polystyrene hives, they do interlock and they're designed to fit together a bit tighter. Most beekeepers use hive straps to keep them together, the hives, so that we don't have issues with boxes sliding off each other. The bees actually will often coat the inside of hives with propolis, so bee glue, anyway, to roughen it up a little bit. So you'll find if you roughen the surface inside a hive, they'll definitely collect more propolis. So I think it just comes down to that's the way that the timber is milled. But if you want more propolis, then rough it up a little bit.
Okay. Oh, don't know where to go with a comment like that. Yeah. Okay. Come back, Kevin. We'll move on from here. Okay, so that's pretty well the questions. But as we go to wrapping up, okay, think for a moment. I'm going to rave for a second, but think for a moment of something that you'd like to do as a last pitch for your topic or your where you are in your work thing. All right. So you have a final moment to say, answer a question that you would like to have had asked that wasn't. All right. But before that, I'm going to say, in case people don't know, there are more bees and pollinators than honeybees. Okay. I know some people don't know that or think about it. Again, queen bee are doing great things. I know that there's native bee concerns in England and America, et cetera, et cetera. So I am pleased to say and promote, I have no shame in promoting that at Tocal College, we have a great publication. All right, see how's the, what? Here it comes. Yes, we have a book, a publication on Australian native bees. It is quite good. I didn't write it, so I can say it's quite good, all right? And it's very helpful. We've also put together a one-day course on Australian native bees, and it deals primarily with the social ones, but we do touch on this solitary bees, what you're looking for, health, et cetera, so you can enroll in that course. We're really glad to be able to present that because there are more than mellifera. Did I say that out loud? I'm sorry if I offended anyone out there in video land, but it's true. All right, so thank you. Last pitches. Rod, biosecurity friend.
Okay,
Time's
so
up.
everything that we can do to prevent bees from robbing honey is very, very important. And manage your weak hives. Don't let bees rob. And that's the most important thing you can do.
Thank you. Fiona, we're going to keep Claire and Martin up. All right, so thank you, Fiona.
I guess given we're 3 weeks out from Australian Pollinator Week, I would really encourage people to have a look at the range of events and webinars that are on. There's something in there for everybody, and we'd love to see people engaging in those short 1-hour webinars, short and sharp, and finding out more about some of the programs we're running.
Thank you so much for your time and effort, Fiona. Claire and Martin.
Ooh.
Come to England, come to Buckfast Abbey.
Yeah, you'd be one day, one day when the world's gone back to normal, if it ever does.
I think I'd say try and just work out what your bees would do in a natural wild state, and then that you can transpose that behavior into how you should be managing your own bees, because you can't work against the bees, you've got to work with them. And if you think about what they would be doing naturally and try and work with that.
Yeah, I would concur with that. Respect their intelligence and their communication, work with it.
Great.
And treat yourself to a good book. There's some great books out there on the market at the moment.
Australian native bees. Oh, sorry.
Treat yourself to a good book. Every book's got a gem in it somewhere.
Yes. Yep. I was very appreciative because Claire said to me when I was over there, Jürgen Tautz, and I'm so glad that I got switched on to Jürgen Tautz. Okay, so good books. Okay, well, that's just about us. Kelly and I are going to do a thank you and farewell for all the people that have been watching. And I know that there are people out there, Martin, when you said a wild colony. There's a lot of people in Australia with wild colonies, but they're not in trees. So we hope that you have learned things through the field day today that will help you all in your beekeeping. I'm going to hand over to Kelly, then I'm going to switch this whole thing off.
Yeah, look, I'd just like to say to everyone who's tuned in today on behalf of Tokau College and our partners, New South Wales Apiarist Association, Lean Bee Foundation, Amateur Beekeepers Association, and Hunter Valley Amateur Beekeepers. Hope you've had an enjoyable, informative day, and look out, these recordings will be available after so you can revisit them.
Thanks for that, Kelly. Yes, we didn't tell you they were going to be available beforehand. I wonder why. Okay, so we hope you all have a really good afternoon, evening, and enjoy your beekeeping. Again, a big thank you to the tech team who put this together. It's been a great opportunity to all our visiting speakers and presenters. This was excellent. This was something that has just brought people to the Tokau College Beekeepers Field Day that would never have come if it had been on site. So it's very exciting. What else do I have to say? Fill in your survey, find a survey, fill it in so that we can we will at least try to surpass what's happened today. So thank you all. Good evening. All the best with your bees, beekeeping, and let's just keep at it for the betterment of all. Thank you so much. Good day. Bye.
See you.